What's going on? This is Invisible Walls, episode 32. In Chad Johnson's world, that would be episode Trace Dos. We do have a big announcement to make. I'm sure you guys probably saw this coming. The show is no longer going to be published on Thursday. We have officially given up. And you can look for the show now on Fridays. We actually think it's better because it gives a chance for the show to get a spotlight over the weekend on the site, and you guys get more of a chance to get to it. So thank you for your continued patronage, and you'll be checking us out on Fridays every week going forward. All right, on the show this week, we have Grumpy McGrump.
Hello, darlings.
Patrick Morales.
Salutations.
Brooks Huber.
Hello.
Ryan Stevens.
Hello, everyone.
And later on, we'll have Michael Damiani on to talk about how was that again?
Valkyria Chronicles.
Valkyria Chronicles. Easy word to say. First, we're going to talk about what could possibly be the best-selling game of the year. That would be World of Warcraft Rise of the Lich King. It's ready to come out in a week or so. We have Patrick Morales on here, who's also been ankles deep in our World of Warcraft retrospectives and/or Warcraft retrospectives. Mm-hmm. What do you think, man? What do you think? Lich King is going to set the world on fire? Last time, their last expansion blew up.
It was unbelievable, actually, and we make a note of it in the retro that's going up this week. Actually, Burning Crusade is one of the knock on wood,
or particle wood.
But yeah, actually, if you guys didn't know, Burning Crusade is actually one of the fastest selling video games of all time. Well, I think I made a note of this in one of the previous episodes, but definitely if you are actively playing WoW right now, you have a high-level character, it's a natural progression, you'll want to play. But there's less incentive for new players this time around because most of the content caters to high-end people, so it lacks that hook.
But you can go instant Death Knight, right?
You can if you have a level 55 character beforehand.
Okay, that's not so instant.
No,
but
it'll take some time.
But the Death Knight's actually like I know Marco was saying it's like actually almost arcadey to play as a Death Knight.
I guess there's some similarities to the Rogue, which is another arcade class. But to be fair, there are some hooks for new players. They have that program where if you're an existing WoW player and you get your friend to play, you can level up at a faster rate. So they're definitely pulling out all the stops to hook people in regardless.
Is everyone just going to be a Death Knight on the server now?
I would wager, yeah, they're pretty good.
What about you? You gonna start a new character?
Oh, I don't know. I've had that poison in me for a while.
Yeah, but why would he start a new character? I mean, most people have actually, and this is what I've done. I have actually a three level Sentis. I am Sad Nerd. I've actually started a whole bunch of new characters to get them to 55. So when the expansion pack, is installed on my machine, I can actually keep some characters, the high level guys, and then go off and play Death Knight with some of the lesser characters and experience it that way.
Now, Marcus, do you think everyone has that much free time on their
hands? You said that. I actually haven't played World of Warcraft in the last 6 weeks. I kid you not.
A whole 6 weeks.
Well, I used to log on. You know what? I used to log on every night for a couple of hours, see what was going on. But I mean, I hit a boredom threshold with WoW because I'd done so many things so many times, and now I'm stoked for the expansion packs. I want that new content.
Yeah.
I hit that boredom level at level 14 of my very first character.
Dude, you're not a PC gamer.
I wouldn't say I'm not a PC gamer. I'm definitely not an MMO gamer.
You're an Xbox fanboy.
Yeah,
I'm
an Xbox fanboy, that's right.
Me, I'm a Sega Genesis fanboy.
Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Wonder Swan color for me. All right, so cool. You think it's going to blow up and be as big as the last expansion pack? It's got to be with more people playing the game, right?
I have no doubt. I mean, WoW is always a sure thing for Blizzard. And just looking at it graphically, structurally, just everything with its design, they're really stepping up their game. A lot of the production values of the game have really been improved. And I think, actually, after this, it seems like they're going to head over into kind of like a WoW 1.5 because they've really made some improvements to the graphics, which are kind of outdated by today's standards. So,
well, it's been evolving, hasn't it? I mean, that's the thing.
It's been slowly evolving.
This isn't the expansion pack. This is almost like an evolution pack. This is going to take WoW to the next level. So, if you do come in, and there are people going to be coming in because you can download the game for free and try it, or you can pick it up for $1.99 now. For just the original WoW, there's a lot of people coming in, and I think people are going to be curious, and people are going to try it. I think they've also made a conscious effort to make the lower range quests more accessible. I've noticed that when I'm going back through them. So if people haven't tried WoW, I recommend now's the time to do it. Get in there and just have a mess around. You level up quickly, and there's all this great new content get moist for.
Moist. All right, next up we're going to talk about Mirror's Edge, the first-person parkour game from EA. We've hyped that game up a lot here on the site. We finally all got a chance to play it, and I think we're a little divided on this one. We'll let Ryan carry the conversation. He reviewed it for the site.
Well, I mean, I liked it. I kind of was actually disappointed when I first started to play it, but like once it really clicked with me once I actually started doing some of the time trial mode. The story's not really there, and there's from the beginning, I know like Jeremy Hoffman was always like, where's my momentum to go forward? And in the time trial mode, they kind of like strip all this artifice, and it's just like go quick, and it really works. The story mode's still great. They have some good set pieces, and it's fun to like. I mean, it sucks when you're stuck somewhere and you're like, where am I supposed to go? And you're not moving. It's just like. It's just really crappy. But once you hit that point and you just like zing from A to B to C to D and you just string it all along, it feels really good. Mm-hmm. And the immersion's really good. Like, I mean, it's not like I don't feel like I'm Faith. It's not like I look in the mirror and I'm like, where'd I get this tattoo? But there is definitely like a more visceral attachment with this first-person view and all of this stuff. Like if you fail like running up a wall and you kick back and you see like your legs fly up and stuff like that, you really feel like you messed up. Controls are pretty much spot on. Sometimes some running at some angles and stuff like that is not as good as like a first-person shooter. You kind of got to go more straight.
I've also had some problems with wall running in the game. Like sometimes it just seems to like detach from the wall before it's supposed to. I just found it really hard, but a lot of times where there's a platform, a wall.
When you're wall running straight up, or when you're wall running like
when you're
left
running
to
like
right?
a sidewall.
Sidewalls, I didn't have such of a problem, but like going from like if I knew I had to run up a wall and jump off of it, sometimes I'd have some problems kind of just getting that initial momentum and then kind of spamming the quick turn and the next jump. And I will say though, like I played the game a lot, and I'd still like. Until about halfway through, I'd still be pressing X sometimes to jump instead of like the shoulder button.
I actually didn't have that problem. I was able to get over the controls like that. I don't think I ever hit the wrong button even once.
Did you get motion sick at all?
They took me an age.
No, I didn't get a motion sick, no.
Yeah, me neither. But there is a dot there, and that seems to have helped a lot of people. Like Bobby was like, oh, we put on the dot. He's like, okay, I can do this now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I didn't like the control. The control system felt, it had potential, but it just, it didn't work for me. And, one of the things I would have liked to have seen in this game, and people are going to say, oh, well, that's not the point. It's a first-person running game. I'd actually love to have seen this game in third person with some really good...
It's called Prince of
animation.
Persia.
No, but I mean...
you can't see what
Assassin's
she's
Creed.
doing. It's
No, I totally agree, because in the cutscenes, she's a great character, and in the cutscenes, she's this 2D insurance commercial.
Yeah.
But then, like in all of the trailers, she's they always pan to her in the new commercial. They pan to her in third person, and like she's a cool-looking character in some of the trailers.
The
You see her
stuff
in
that
third
she's
person.
doing is parkour. You want to see it. How does she?
It would
It'd
be
be
more
cool if there was like
visceral
a-
and more sense of achievement, because at the end of the day, you're just a friggin' floating camera with some legs that pop
you
out.
kind of get it when you're doing the time trial modes, because if you do well enough, you get a ghost. And you can see the ghost do all the moves, but it's like this glowing.
Wow, color me tickled for that one. I want my friggin' ghost.
But I'm just saying you get to see the moves a little bit more. But yeah, like if there had been a replay camera, like some sort of like if you could like edit your own replays and stuff like that, I think it would be really cool.
I mean, I like the concept. Props to DICE, because they went and did something that's pretty damn original, and went and took this this cool running style. But having watched Casino Royale so many times, you watch the parkour running at the beginning of that, I wanted it to be that guy jumping and reaching, and watch the physics of a body colliding, and not have to really sort of like worry, because at the end of the day, with a first-person shooter or any first-person perspective, peripheral vision is impossible.
Yeah.
And you only get a flat screen. They haven't curved the field of vision. So
Alienware has that monitor.
well, but I mean, but in the game, if the game doesn't support it, that monitor is absolutely useless. So you're in third-person view, and you actually get your peripheral vision. I mean, you get more of it, which is a little bit of a cheat, but if you're going forward fast and over things, under things, bouncing off walls, you get to see what's going on, and you can plan your moves a little bit better.
The other issue with first-person games is that they're never going to be able to replicate what it's really like to see with your own eyes. Your eyes can literally shift from looking at one thing to another in like 1,000th of a second, probably less. In first-person games, it's so sluggish turning from left to right. It's like playing Call of Duty World at War. Grenades. Like, if a grenade really landed by me, I would see it out of my peripheral vision. I'd look down. I'd be like, oh, and I'd run away.
Do you think those little indicators kind of make up for that in Call of Duty, though?
I don't. I think
those indicators don't work on anybody. I mean, you could be playing any game actually, and it's like a dog is attacking you from behind. In real life, you would hear
it
come up.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't matter if you've got kick-ass surround sound speakers. You don't get that presence. And
I agree, and I think that's where a lot of games go wrong when they try to go into first person.
But Patrick, you put a couple minutes into the game,
Well, I played the first few chapters.
and you did the chase.
Yeah. The thing I really have to give credit to for Mirror's Edge is that I've never played a game in recent memory where it allows you to really, conceptually plan out your plan of attack. There's just so many things you can do that game with all the multi-tiered levels, and you really do start to wonder how many possibilities you could explore. Should I climb up this pole or should I slide down this?
But that's my problem. I don't think there are that many. Like if you
I think
actually
there
go
are.
and try
It
to
expands.
explore those other ways, I only played the first couple of chapters as well. But I would try to explore those other lines, and it just wouldn't let you grasp onto. You should be able to grab
Again,
onto.
it really comes out more in the time trials, but there is definitely room for which way you want to go, or riskier moves like jumping from a zip line to another zip line, or taking the more tried and true path.
It definitely amps up later on, but I think that's what I liked about the game the most, personally. Climbing down ladders, though.
Yeah, I think my biggest criticism of Mirror's Edge is that it just feels like there were corners cut. Like the cartoon cinemas, it's like they started working with the in-game engine, and they're like, this isn't going to pull it off. Let's hire an artist to handle the cinemas. The characters in the story are just so bleh. It's like I don't really care about what I'm doing.
Yeah, the story is definitely a weak point, which
then
sucks because she's a good character.
And then the visuals, it's like the game looks okay when you look at everything from afar and you can see that it's all gray and blue and red. But when you really get in an elevator or get up close to the objects, it just looks garish and ugly. At least that's how I felt.
I mean, a lot of games, if you could do the super close texture thing, this game you probably get closer to the walls than most games, so it stands out a little bit more. But most
Right up
games,
to the wall.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, most
it's
games
just
close
flatly
textures.
shaded, and there's no detail. It's like everything's a gray pipe, and then there's some blue or red pipes to show you which direction to go. I just felt like they used the art style to cover up the fact that the engine just wasn't where it should be.
Yeah, I think it was a great concept, great idea. I think it just lacks a little in the execution. I think it'll sell well. I don't think it'll sell huge numbers because
I think there'll be a real divided audience.
Yeah, it's going to be a love it or hate it game.
I've already read, on message boards, people have played the demo, put 7 hours into the demo.
And I think obsessive people will probably get a lot more out of this game. If you're the type of person who plays through the single player once and then they're done with the game, you're probably not going to be too happy if you buy Mirror's Edge. If you're the type of person who buys the game and really milks everything you can out of it, I think they'll probably like it a lot more.
But it's worth a rental, I'd say.
Yeah, just to experience a new idea.
Yeah.
All right, next up, winter is coming. It's actually starting to get a little cool here in Los Angeles. I'm wearing a very nice sweater today.
It is. It's very stripy, and you look like a peppermint, rotten one, but a peppermint all the same.
It's the first time I've worn a sweater in about 10 months, so that means winter is coming. And with that, Brooks Huber has been playing Shaun White snowboarding, not just for the Wii, but you're going to talk about the Wii version specifically today.
The Wii version really surprised me. I really liked it. I have a confession to make. I've actually never snowboarded in real life.
Wow.
Surprise. But I've wakeboarded
And I have a
I
confession
skate.
to make. I probably shouldn't have assigned Brooks to the review.
But that's the beauty of the game. It doesn't really matter because it's almost like a tutorial on how to snowboard in the first place.
Yeah.
And I know the concept well enough where I could just jump on the board and go at it, and it's very responsive. It felt really good.
Yeah, I played it at UB Days this year, and I was really blown away by it. I have snowboarded and do snowboard, and I was amazed at how accurate they managed to make the balance board gameplay.
Yeah, you really have to dig in with your heels and your toes, and then when you lean back,
you really
your
got to
character
lean on it
stops.
too, man. Just like a real snowboard. If you want to turn this way, you really have to dig in with your heels to get that turn. So.
Oh yeah, I was sore afterwards. It was a workout for me. I had to take little intermediate breaks every now and again because I was getting sore. But how crazy is that? After Wii Fit, the board's
I think we need to come up with a fitness
getting
plan
in
here.
shape. And tricks are actually the hardest part of the game. You hold the Wiimote in your hand, and you use the A and the B buttons for grabs in the front and the back. But the hardest part was learning how to spins and flips on the board because that's a little unnatural feeling.
Well, I mean, if you really snowboarded, though, it is kind of the same. After you go off a hit, you just push back on the back of the balance board.
Well, leaning back, leaning forward, those are for the back flips and the front flips. Those are easy, but then you'd have to point with your front foot toe and then your heel of your back foot. So you were doing two opposite things, and it was really difficult to get that down with the amount of time you had in the air, only 2 or 3 seconds. So those were the harder things to pull off. But
Now, what
the
if you
racing-
don't have the balance board? That's the caveat, right?
I say it goes with the balance board like peanut butter and jelly. You can't really have it without.
Yeah, if you try to play without it, you hold the Wiimote up like a little TV
Board.
remote, and
Yeah.
it does not work at all.
You flick it up for jumps, and you carve by tilting it left and right, but you don't get any kind of level of
Isn't
interaction
that what
like you do with
Skate
the
is going
balance
to do
board.
too?
Yeah, it is pretty much.
So these are games where it's like, yeah, if you don't have the balance board,
You might as well stay away.
I'm impressed people have actually done something to make the balance board absolutely friggin' useful for once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot
I
of people
haven't-
that bought Wii Fit and been watching it collect dust are going
I
to
mean,
be
I haven't tried Sean White, but I mean, I saw Brooks play, and he was definitely pulling off moves. Like he was doing what he wanted to do most of the time, which I thought was pretty impressive. Looking at the balance board.
Yeah, one of the stages was a half pipe, and you got your chance to like really go at it and do all these sorts of tricks. But the thing was, is he kept doing so many tricks, one after the other. I kept losing my footing on the balance board. So that was the hard part, is just staying on the damn thing and having something to hold on to.
'Cause it's not really that big.
No,
You really
it's-
want to stretch your legs out like you're really skating or snowboarding.
Yeah, it's narrow, so you got to keep your feet close enough together. Whereas on a snowboard, I'd imagine you'd be a little bit more spread out and a little bit more stable.
Now, quickly, what about the other versions of Sean White?
360 PS3 versions are a lot different. For one thing, it's like a total open-ended world. It's kind of like GTA. You could jump off your board, go running up the slopes. The structure is different. It has a much more realistic photo look, whereas the Wii is more just like you guys were saying, almost like an Esurance commercial look. So on the 360 PS3, I like both versions, but I think the Wii and the amount of interaction you got with the balance board was a lot more fun for me.
But if you didn't have the balance board, would you side with the 360 and PS3?
Yeah, I'd go
versions?
that route instead with the HD graphics, and the Go Anywhere interface is a lot cooler because the mountains are much bigger. You could go chopper yourself to the very top, jump off, and it takes about 5 minutes or so to ride to the very bottom.
Now, it's kind of like Skate in that it really limits the tricks that you can do, right?
Yeah, because everything's mapped to the analog sticks, so there's no face buttons whatsoever. You could throw snowballs with the B button, and that's about it. But it's
I'm
totally
sold.
useless. Yeah.
Sign me
I
up.
kept trying to hit guys going down the mountains, and there's no lock on, so it's impossible. But yeah, you use the analog sticks to do your tricks, but because there's only 8 different directions, you could really only do so much.
So it's really realistic, though, right?
It's really realistic, yeah. It's not
But-
like tricky. You're not going to be doing all crazy grabs, rodeo clowns, pulling off these insane tricks, but
Yellow snowballs.
no yellow snowballs.
So would you say you're an expert at grinding the pipe now?
Dude, come on. I know what you're doing there. That's another thing. Grinding on the
what you did
Wii, if you want to jump on a rail or something on the Wii, you automatically just land right on it. It's like a magnet. So it's really easy in that respect. But on the 360, you had to aim up a little bit more.
Now, would you recommend these games to anyone? And if so, who? What kind of player?
On the Wii, it appeals to everybody. I could see that. Kids would have fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. 360, that's a little bit more of the hardcore crowd. I think people that really like SSX Tricky and the big trick platforming snowboarding games, they might be a little turned off because of its realism.
Yeah, but I
But
mean,
still-
no Tony Hawk this year. Skate 2's not till what, February? So
And there's an awful lot of balance boards out there.
sounds like it's the smart pick.
Maybe media of the week over Christmas is going to be Granny falling off somebody's balance board and breaking a hip.
Here's some irony for you. Back in the day when Microsoft released Amped, I was not a big fan of that game at all. In fact, I hated it. And it was incredibly realistic, so much so that when you started, you could literally only jump like 6 inches off the ground. And I railed that game in my review when I was working at GameSpot. And the Xbox fanboys, oh my God. They started a petition to get me fired that had like 500 signatures on it, all because I didn't like Amped. So all you PS3 fans out there, get in line. All right, we're just going to keep on rocking through the games here. So many good ones coming out over the next month or so. And the next one we're going to talk about is Valkyria Chronicles. I think I did that one right that time, right, Michael?
Oh, yes, you did. I first want to apologize. A few episodes ago, we were talking about RPGs for PlayStation 3 exclusives, and I failed to mention this game, and I am very sorry because this game is absolutely unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically take Fire Emblem Advance Wars and combine it with Nintendo's Battalion Wars. Put those together and you basically got Valkyria Chronicles. It is tactical-based RPG, so it's got a really heavy strategy element. But what they do that's unique is it plays more like a third-person shooter when you're actually controlling the characters. So each mission, you start off with a 2D map, and you have your units positioned around, and when you actually click on a unit to take your turn, it zooms in and goes into this 3D perspective, and it plays like a third-person shooter. You run at enemies, they fire at you in real time. The only catch is when you take your time to aim, you're invincible. You don't get fired at. So you can take all the time in the world to aim, but otherwise it plays like a third-person shooter. And
So you could dodge, conceivably, you could dodge an enemy's fire?
Yes, when you're running at an enemy, you don't run straight at them. Like you think it's RPG, oh, I'm going to get hit. No, you can actually, not strafe. You can run a circle around them, and they'll be missing you.
And use cover, like buildings in between you?
Yes, they take time to reload. That's the time when you want to take your aim. You can take cover behind any physical object, and bullets can't go through it, but you can only take defensive positions like crouching or going into prone when you're behind sandbags or over certain terrain. But in general, there's no ability just to crouch or go prone at any time. But it's because it affects your defensive stats. So if you're prone or you're crouched, you have better defense. So it plays into the strategy element there.
Now, what's really struck me about this game is the sketchbook art style. Seen a lot of cell shading, but I don't think I've ever seen it look like this game.
This game is in the upper echelon. I don't think anything that does this style can touch it. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the best looking game on PS3, but it's definitely one of the top looking games.
One of the most unique looking.
And
Oh yeah, nothing looks like it.
I know that a lot of RPG fans complain because it has a little more of a JRPG design style with the characters. They do include a Japanese voice track in here, so finally fans can stop whining about that. But a testament to its the level of detail in the visuals, the mouth movements match up almost perfectly with the Japanese voice track. And it's very detailed.
And English, both?
No, not English. Unfortunately, not English, but Japanese.
Well, what's so great about that?
For the hardcore.
For hardcore people, I mean, they have the teeth, they have the gums in there, so you can see the detail in the mouth, and it was kind of a nice touch. I mean, in English, yeah, it doesn't match up, but it was kind of
Well,
nice.
I guess it doesn't match at all.
Oh, it's kind of close, actually.
So they did reanimate it for the English track.
It's not reanimated, but because of how dub work, how it happens, they try to get the English voice actor to say as much into that, like, their speaking line.
So they talk really fast?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, there's a tank attacking us. What are we going to do right now?
Is that like that guy from
Right,
Police Academy?
But I mean, there's not. I'm not going to knock the English voice track though. It's very well done. The voice cast is very good in that.
Can I ask, like, when you're not doing the in-between missions, what's going on? Or is it pretty much just mission after mission?
In between missions, there's no actual gameplay. It's a story.
Okay.
It's broken into episodes.
Well, but
basically.
are there optional side missions
Yes.
and stuff then?
Because it's an RPG, you have to level up your units. You do not, unlike Fire Emblem, where you assign experience points to characters, but instead of specific characters, it's to your units, and you have 5 base units. So if you don't do well in a mission, you get a bad ranking, you don't get very good experience. You're going to have a hard time doing the next mission. They give you these optional skirmishes that you can replay over and over again. And the difference is if you complete it, you get less experience each time you complete it. But you can play them as many times as you want. And as you advance, you can practice your new tactics that you learn as well. And you unlock those, but there's also optional missions that you unlock as well. But once you complete them, you can only do them once. But these actually are tied into the story as well, and they offer a lot of insight. And they're surprisingly deep. I'm surprised that they were optional missions, but you unlock them by paying a journalist to do an interview with you. And when she does the interview, it actually unlocks a side mission for you. It's out there, but it's very unique. I'll give it to it's very unique.
Yeah, the concept of a turn-based third-person shooter is pretty unique in itself, but I'm even more impressed that Sega would go out on a limb and make this game to begin with, because war games aren't really that popular in Japan. They took a risk and it came out to be pretty unique. I'm a fan. I'm definitely looking forward to playing it.
It's made by the team that made Skies of Arcadia.
That's a good
So
sign.
yeah, and Skies of Arcadia fans will see Vice and Ica in there.
No way.
They are recruitable characters and they have full voice work. So for those who wanted to hear them, continue on. It even references that they're from a far-off land, but doesn't specifically say Skies of Arcadia. So that was a nice bone they threw the fans there. But I mean, the level of depth in this game is unmatched. I mean, I'm at like 30 hours near the end of the game. There's so much more I can go back and play through, and it is incredibly addicting. And if you love strategy games, or if you like third-person shooters, you need to get this game.
And as Grumpy said, it's an RPG with RPGs.
Gallia's mongrels have reclaimed Vassal Bridge. Are the men of our defensive units cowards? This loss is a stain on the Emperor's honor.
All right, next up is On the Hook, where we answer your questions. I'm sure y'all get it by now. Grumpy has the first question that comes to us from Just Mike.
Indeed, Just Mike asks, I was wondering how you think the T rating will affect MK versus DC, and if you feel that it leaves their fans behind by going this route. Well, having played this game a lot last week and having completed the superhero side, yes, it does. I mean, it's in the UK, the teen equivalent is 15 rated. And they've included the Joker's fatality in there, which is the hand buzzer, that all the smoke and killing and all this sort of stuff. And it just, when I was playing, it felt like a Mortal Kombat Lite when I played it last week.
Well, the Joker does shoot you in the head, to be fair. Right?
He does shoot you in the head, and there's still some blood in there and stuff. But remembering playing Mortal Kombat when it first came out on the Sega Genesis, and how much fun that was, ripping the spinal columns out of people. And
there was nothing else like it at the time either.
Well,
Do you mean the Mega Drive?
On the Mega Drive, yes, for my peeps at home, the Mega Drive. I think, I don't think it's fair. I mean, I can understand why. I mean, I actually had this conversation with one of the producers of the game at E3, and he said, at the end of the day, it's DC, it's their license, and, they feel that in the US, the game has got to be a teen rated, and, they didn't want to go in the M route. I mean, I would, considering how dark and graphic some of the comics are right now, I would love to see that match up with Mortal Kombat, and I would love to see it a lot bloodier. And yes, we know the DC characters don't kill, even though Wonder Woman has killed recently, and so on and so forth. But she has.
Yeah.
I'm a
I
comic book
believe
nerd.
it. It's just
The lasso of truth become the lasso of death.
She actually snapped somebody's neck in a comic book. But then you've also got characters in there like Deathstroke, like Lex Luthor, who have no compunction whatsoever when it comes to killing people. And then you throw the Mortal Kombat side guys in. Joker as well, homicidal maniac. I mean, I would love to have seen those fatalities make it and be really amped up. I mean, it plays into the character.
But it goes beyond just the fact that the characters aren't supposed to kill or they don't kill. I mean, it's also just DC probably wanting to, make sure that their properties aren't dredged through the M-rated mud.
Yeah, but they also added heroic brutalities, and they're just gimpy.
What about babalities?
I mean, that was. But see, that's the thing. Babalities were babalities were at least like that crazy ha ha ha. Here now it's like, I don't know. He the Flash runs around someone and there's a tornado and it's like, oh,
and then they vomit.
That was brutal.
Well, I find it kind of funny that the same DC that made The Dark Knight this year, which was one of the best ways.
PG-13.
Yeah, it was PG-13, but still, you had the Joker sticking a pencil in somebody's eye, and you could tell what was going on. And anybody who hasn't seen the film, tough titty. But you could have done this. This was crying out to be an M-rated game and really sort of like getting into it. Again, they're going for the teens, and maybe a 13, 14-year-old shouldn't be playing this. Maybe it should be a 15. Maybe it's not a question of the actual, the content they pull out. Maybe it's a question of, are the ratings right now? Do they need to be tweaked? Do you need to be 18 to play an M-rated game, which, currently you need to be 17? Do you need to be 15 to play, that sort of equivalent game? In Europe,
I was a very mature 12.
And now you're a very mature.
Now I'm a very immature.
You're actually going backwards.
28 by the time it starts.
Now, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, now do you think Midway would have garnered as much attention with another Mortal Kombat game than they have with Marvel versus DC, or I'm sorry, than they have with Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe? Because in all honesty, I mean, the game is one of the most popular on our site right now. And looking at years past where they've released another Mortal Kombat, it hasn't been that way.
This is definitely the best Mortal Kombat game in a good few years. I mean, some of the stuff that's come out under that brand has been, let me say,
wait, I thought you said shite.
No, I said for you Americans. This is much better. This is much better. I mean, I enjoyed playing it. There are, I'm not going to go into it because the review isn't up yet, and I know that's being worked on right now. It's certainly the best Mortal Kombat game for a while. The adding of the DC stuff makes a lot of sense, and they've been doing that.
It's not the same old tired-ass characters either. That's
no, the same tired-ass characters are in there.
Well, only half of them, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
they
whole
should do Mortal Kombat vs. Saw. That could be like AO rated.
Look, I want to see Mortal Kombat versus My Little Pony.
All right, last question. This is from Itachi2K1. I think that's right. We'd like to know how long game companies hold NDAs over your heads for reviews and other game media. There's a second part of the question we'll get to in a second. Well, it depends. Sometimes we get games 3-4 weeks before they come out. In the case of Resistance, we didn't get it until like 2 days before it came out. I know a lot of you guys accused us of holding back the review, which is just ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is we just didn't get it. There was a shipping snafu, and so we just got it a couple days before ship. There's really no hard and fast rule. I mean, holding it over our heads, like, I don't even know if that's the right verbiage to use.
You know, there's embargo dates, and I think that, you know, that's the difference. It perhaps means embargoes as opposed to NDAs. And, you know, we've both been in the situation where we've had, you know, I've given out embargoes that reviews can't go online until the midnight of the day that the product is shipping. That's generally a sign that the product's a bag of anyway.
No, a lot of good games give you the day before.
Yeah, the day before, because you want those great reviews coming out, and you've tied up some exclusives. I think we discussed this actually a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But the big difference is if no reviews have hit for a game, and it's the day of launch, something
It's a
stinks.
sure
Well,
sign
it's like
Gobes'
sucks.
feet.
Beast Rider.
Dude, my
we
feet
get,
don't smell. Come on.
but like Beast Rider, didn't we get that like a week after it
After it
shipped?
came out. I
Yeah,
how good
that
is
is
that?
sure
That was a
sign,
rush
guaranteed.
job to get that out as fast as I could.
And you loved every second of it.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
actually made
if
me
I
a
have to
violent
call
person.
about a game, if I look at next Tuesday and I'm like, oh, Game X is coming out, and if I look through my email, I've not got an email about that game, and I have to physically call the publisher to get it, I guarantee that game is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I think we've all been had once in a while. Like I knew like the first Matrix game, I like knew it was bad. I was like, screw this. Matrix 1 was awesome,
Which it was.
and I rented it from Blockbuster, and I was like, this game's not so much fun. The hacking game was fun. The rest of it was pretty much dog shit.
Yeah, it was a piece of shit.
If you don't see reviews online, it's probably a sign that the game's not so good though.
Yep, definitely a red flag. And the final part of the question was also, Grumpy, when are you going to do a voice review for GT, just Jack Brandon GTA style, and take over any review?
Sounds very
I think
AO.
that you know, for a start, I'm not
And
checking
Marcus,
Brandon.
for the record, you did not add this question, this part of the question.
No,
in
I
there
did
yourself?
not. No, this is actually in the inbox, and I can show it to you. I am not jacking Brandon. He's a big boy, and I'm sure he doesn't swing that way. But Shane, maybe this is an opportunity to explain to people how the reviews. We've had the discussion, but who writes the reviews and how it works with the recording of the voice.
We have talked about this once before on the show, but just for our new listeners and or viewers, here's how our process works. We sit down, we play the game all the way through. While we're playing the game, we capture footage. After we're done with that, we sit down, we write our script, usually around 1,000 words. That script is then handed to Brandon, who goes into what's called a voiceover booth, where he reads the script into a microphone and records it. So Brandon does not review the games. He gets the scripts from the people who review them, he goes in and voices them, hands us the tape, and then we take all that footage, the script, the voiceover, into edit, cut it all together into the product that you guys see at the end of the day on the site. So the reason Brandon reads our reviews is because he's really good at voiceover. And it may sound simple, but try to read something sometime and record it and listen to yourself. I think you guys will be a lot easier on Brandon's voiceover going forward.
You get the same answer here, but Quantum of Solace does use the Call of Foodie.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. We definitely want to thank everybody who jumped on our Facebook page. I'd also like to thank all 500 of you who sent me friend invitations. I do appreciate it a lot. Unfortunately, I only keep people on my Facebook that I know in real life, so maybe someday we'll meet and I'll add you. I think the coolest thing, though, was seeing the people who watch and listen to the show. It was awesome. Like, I started scrolling through the pages, just page after page of all these cool people from all around the world. Like, I don't know. It made me feel like we were really doing something special.
We are the special out in the world, and just to let you know, I mean, I actually am a total whore, and I accepted all 37 of my friend requests, which put me up to 36 friends, and I still can't figure out the math on it.
But yeah, it was really awesome. Like, we just really want to thank you guys for watching and listening. We really appreciate you guys, and sort of putting the faces with the comments on Facebook, I thought was really awesome. Really personalized the whole experience for me, and I think the whole rest of the team feels the same way.